I heard recently, what's his name? The Abacha's henchman. Al-Mustafa, saying that it was not an apple that killed Abacha. Who cares? Who cares? All we care is that Abacha is gone. And you see, the day that Abacha died, I had a dream that early morning. It was as if I heard an audible voice. Abacha is dead. I jolted up and I told my dad, I said, Abacha is dead. I was in the village. So how do you know? I said, Abacha is dead. What I heard this morning, it was too clear. Abacha is dead. It was that day we heard over Radio Nigeria. We didn't have TV in that village. Radio Nigeria. It was that same day. The same day was the day that we heard that he had died. So if you come back 20-something years later, tell us whether it was a woman that killed him or it wasn't a woman. Abacha is not here anymore to tell his own side of the story. But I'm trying to say to you that God has done it before. God will do it again. The kind of prayers that the church prayed before we got into democracy, many of you may be too young to know it. I know elderly men that will wear some kind of agbada every time they are going for that prayer meeting. Eyes will be red. They literally prayed the military out of Nigeria. That was why in 2015, when they were doing this, before 2015, they went to the smart man in Mina. And the smart man in Mina said, the only way that Buhari will win this election is if those Christians stop praying that their prayer. The Maradona of Mina said the only way Buhari will win is if those Christians stop praying that their prayer, because he has felt the heat of the prayer of the church as a military head of state. He felt it. And he knew we are the ones that are not aware. That's why I came to tell you today that God is looking for volunteers. We are looking for helpers of the war. Since morning we have been asking God to help us in our war. Now, God is looking for men that will help him in his own war. We need to put Jesus Christ back on the map of Nigeria. The cross must be given its primal place in the affairs of this nation. Let a generation not arise that we think that if you have enough money, even God can become your houseboy. Let such a generation never emerge in our lifetime. Let's not sit still while the name of our God rubbishes in the mud. Let it be that whatever happens at the end of the election, you will be able to look God in the face and say, God, this one you did it because you want to do it. If left for me, if by your grace I played my part. That's the confidence with which we want to live post-election, to say we played our part. So the first prayer this afternoon is help us of the war. But this is God's war. And now we are looking for men and women that will rise to say, Jesus, I want to be one of them. I don't want to be like the men of Meros. I don't want to incur a curse. Like they did in the days of Esther. They told her, if you don't do something, God will raise deliverance for Israel. But you and your father's house, you are going to be swallowed up. I want to be on the Lord's side on the day of the Lord's battle. You see, God has fought so much for us. It is just simply a privilege that God puts himself in a situation where a man can contribute something to the furtherance of his purposes. It was because God has decided. Otherwise, God doesn't need you. God doesn't need me. But God has chosen. And as the church father said, without God we cannot. And without us, God will not. Without God, we cannot. And without us, God will not. God can, but he will not.